welcome to Above Replacement Radio. I am your host, Chris Gianta. You know what Christy Mathewson wasn't worried about? SIERA. When you're thinking about Pedro Siriaco, I mean, the only one that can compete is maybe Hannes Wagner's 1908 season. Over there on the other side of the screen is Daniel Curran.
Like, if we just clip together every time we've talked about him on other people's profiles, we've done a Mickey Cochran episode.
I can't get past Rabbit Marinville. It's not necessarily Hall of Fame. It's not necessarily above average, but we can guarantee you we are better than just the standard replacement level college sophomore.
And welcome to Above Replacement Radio, where we're talking baseball kind of whenever. I am your host, Chris Gianta. Over there on the other side of the screen is Daniel Curran. How you doing, Daniel?
Chris, I am doing well today. I'm from a remote location. That is because I spent the day yesterday at the old ball yard. I was at Citi Field watching the Toronto Blue Jays take on the New York Mets. It was a pretty good game. The Mets won 5-4. How about you? How did you spend your Sunday?
My Sunday, I almost watched history occur. Domingo Germán took a no-hitter into the eighth inning, into the eighth inning he did, and unfortunately was unable to complete it, but a great performance nonetheless. 7 innings, 1 hit, 1 or 2 walks, and 10 strikeouts. Just a masterful pitching.
He had a 4 strikeout inning, I believe, too, didn't he?
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah, because on a Xander Bogaerts strikeout, he got on via Gary Sanchez just getting a pass ball there.
We've got a great outing. I mean, that's a big win for the Yankees. They needed to take the last 2 from the Red Sox in that series.
He comes out.
Mm-hmm.
He comes out after it's 4-0. Good on the Yankees to do what they're supposed to do against a 5-starter like Perez. They were able to get 3 runs off of him, another run off the bullpen. Rougned Odor is just flaming hot right now. Had a home run in that game. And Yankees might be back. I don't know.
They might be. They're only, that was a big, they had a big comeback win on Saturday, and Domingo Germán just comes in and shuts it down, and the bullpen finishes what he started.
Yeah, the
bullpen definitely did not give up 5 runs in the 8th inning to give up the lead and lose the game effectively for the Yankees.
Yeah, Jonathan Loaiza definitely didn't come into the game and give up 4 hits and then get taken out of the game. That was not a situation that occurred there.
And Zach Britton didn't come in and give up the game-tying ground ball and then the game-winning sac fly. That did not happen.
Yeah, no. That's just ludicrous. And, we understand this is the Yankees bullpen, very good bullpen. And they would not blow a 4-0 lead after Domingo Germán took a no-hitter into the 8th.
They've been nails all year. Anytime the Yankees have a somewhat comfortable lead and that bullpen comes in, it's basically over. Chapman saved that 2-run game in Minnesota. He also saved that 4-run crazy rain game against the Angels. They went into the All-Star break comfortably with Chad Green closing that game out against the Astros. They were 1 out away from winning on Thursday. They absolutely closed that one out too. They had a game against the Mets that Chapman came into with a 1-run game. They won that game as well, and they won this game.
Yeah, with all those wins, I think they're comfortably in the second wild card spot.
Yeah.
This is just good on the Yankees. We've criticized the Yankees a lot this year, and they've gotten a lot of flack, but I don't see any particular reason to really dump on them. After a weekend like this.
Yeah.
Getting 3 out of 4 against the Red Sox. Yeah. Great series for them.
Absolutely. And you saw it in person too.
Yeah, I was able to see it, it took away from me as a Red Sox fan, but I was like, what? I'm watching some good quality baseball right here.
Absolutely.
The Yankees are showing me how you win games, and that's an experience. That's a priceless experience, if I must say myself.
Yeah. What I got to see in person yesterday was the New York Mets debut of Rich Hill.
Yes.
That was
Yes.
that was something that went down right after we recorded on Friday, I think it was.
Yeah, Friday.
Yeah. So that was
Uh,
something that went down. Rich Hill traded from Tampa Bay to the New York Mets. The Mets were in need of a starting pitcher. DeGrom is out for who knows how long. They also have Carrasco out. They have a 4-man rotation according to Fangraphs with Rich Hill included. So very interesting with what the team's gonna have to do going forward.
yeah. So yeah, that was the first bit of news to come out uh, since our last episode. Yeah, Rich Hill went to the Mets. This seemed to be a little bit of salary relief from the Rays, who had to pay him $2.5 million this
Well, they had to
year.
pay. They just took on Nelson Cruz, so you gotta cut some weight somewhere else. You're
Yeah,
bringing on that huge deal.
they traded for Nelson Cruz, so they had to get rid of Rich Hill. And yeah, interesting situation there is the Rays are clearly a competing team. They're not sellers, but I mean Hill, he had a pretty hot stretch, and then he's gone a little colder. I would say
Yeah.
just coming back down to earth in
I mean, there's
general.
an interesting correlation between when the crackdown happened and when he started struggling. Between April 26th and June 5th, Rich Hill had a 0.99 ERA and 49 and 2/3 innings pitched. So from his second start since the technical crackdown on, he has a 5.40 ERA in 38 and a third innings pitched. So there definitely seems to be a little bit of correlation there between him using the sticky stuff and, or at least, the memo going out of when people can use sticky stuff or not, and Rich Hill's performance. So,
Right.
uh, that may have been a reason why the Rays let him go. But he's now with the New York Mets, a team that needs starting pitching, and he made his debut yesterday. Did pretty well. 5 innings pitched, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, only 1 strikeout. But I mean, Rich Hill's not exactly the guy you'd expect to be striking guys out all the time.
Yeah. 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 So it kind of puts the Rays in an interesting situation, as they kind of always put themselves in interesting situations. Obviously, their number one starter, who was, probably like a top 3 pitcher in the AL until his injury, Tyler Glass, now is out until at least September. So that was their biggest innings eater, and now, with Rich Hill gone, there's not much left. It's like Ryan Yarbrough, Michael
Michael
Wacha,
Wacha,
Shane McClanahan, and
and then
Michael
Luis
Wacha.
Patino, and then a bullpen game.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I mean, I don't think the Rays are gonna really struggle with it. They kind of are able to micromanage.
But there's no guy that goes out there and you're like, yeah, that's a win.
Yes, exactly.
That's the thing.
Exactly. You're probably the most confident maybe on a bullpen game.
Exactly. I mean, which is fair to say the Rays are the best bullpen in baseball.
Right. Right. So it's yeah, the ace of their staff is their bullpen as a whole, probably. Yeah, it's an interesting situation to be in, especially compared to last year, because last year they had 3 very respectable pitchers in there. They had Glass, now Snell, and Morton,
Hmm.
and now there's you have not you have none of those guys, and you don't have Rich Hill, who you acquired in the offseason. So yeah, it's just something to keep an eye on in general, I would say.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I like what the Mets are doing here, especially after DeGrom has been injured.
Also,
And
with the Rays, when is Nick Anderson coming back? Because he was supposed to miss the first half.
that's a good question. Uh,
We'll have
he
to
would be
see.
huge for a playoff run.
Absolutely.
Nick Anderson. We got to look up Nick Anderson news. He was I think he was made the All MLB team last year.
Yeah, he
For
did.
those unaware, he had a .55 ERA in the regular season.
And we don't need to talk about the playoffs. It's not going on his baseball reference page, so we don't need to talk about it.
Yeah, no, wasn't a big deal at all.
Nope.
All I'm seeing. Okay, the latest one is from CBS Sports on June 11th, and it said return not imminent. But that was about 6 weeks ago. It's Anderson, in parentheses, elbow, is throwing nice and easy, but is still quite a ways away, according to Kevin Cash. Mark Topkin of the Tampa Bay Times reports. It's good to hear that Anderson is throwing. Okay, that's just analysis, and I think that's done. So, on June 11th, he was, a ways away from returning, so maybe a little longer than we would have suspected. So I wonder, yeah, I mean, the Rays might get a bullpen arm at the deadline.
Yeah.
I don't know what they will add, but I mean,
They've already made their big splash, so it's not like they really, really need to do something specifically else.
Yeah, it's tough that Fire Eisen is on the IL right now, because he's probably a big piece of that bullpen, and Colin McHugh is also now on the IL. So yeah, that's tough. Because I guess they did already make like bullpen moves before the deadline back in May. All right. Anything more on the Rich Hill deal?
I don't think I got anything else. I mean, it was certainly interesting to see the Rays, go out and trade for a big piece and then simultaneously trade one of their pieces. But I guess that's Tampa Bay.
Yeah, that's how they roll. That's how they roll. And the biggest news of the past weekend was Adam Frazier being traded to the Padres, National League All-Star, starting at second base this past year. He's hitting .324 with an .836 OPS on the year. Also, these stats are as of Monday, July 26th. I know, this is released on Tuesday because of an odd scheduling thing that happened. But yeah, these stats are all as of July 26, 2021, before the game started. But anyway, Adam Frazier hitting .324 with an .836 OPS on the year. He was traded to the Padres. He's it's interesting because he's a second baseman and an outfielder, and I don't really see any crazy holes especially at second base, but even in the outfield.
Yeah.
But I mean, what were your thoughts on the trade?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting because it certainly wasn't what we expected. But the more I thought about it, it does make a little more sense just because San Diego doesn't necessarily have any glaring holes on their team, really. Like they have a solid lineup. They have a pretty good starting rotation that I suppose could be better, but overall, there's still reason to have confidence in it going into the playoffs. And then the bullpen's very good as well.
Yeah.
So if you're the Padres, you might as well go out and make some kind of splash, and they did so with Adam Frazier. And it is very funny how in the event that their infield is Cronenworth, Frazier, Tatis, Machado, all of their infielders were all-stars this year.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It actually, this was an idea being thrown around is, Hosmer might be kind of,
he should be the odd man out.
He might be being kicked off the island. I mean, he's in, although
it sucks because like statistically he should be kicked off the island, but the only reason he's not, Fangraphs has Will Myers being the odd man out, but Hosmer's the one getting paid. That's the problem. Like it's very stupid that in a playoff run, like a team with a legitimate championship window in a competitive division, you've got to play this guy because you paid him a bunch of money when you don't have to. I think Eric Hosmer should be the odd man out here.
Yeah, exactly. And he's someone, we might be seeing a thing where and this probably won't happen, but there's a chance that he gets traded where, the Padres send a bunch of money and also Eric Hosmer to a team and they don't get that much in return. That could be a situation there.
Yeah.
Kind because Frazier's going to be there this year and next year, and then after that, Hosmer's almost like 5 years through the contract or something like that.
Who wants a slow first baseman that exclusively hits ground balls? Going once, going twice. No takers? Okay.
Exactly.
By the way, you also have to pay him a ton of money for the next 5 years.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It would be tough to get some buyers there.
And Preller's done an amazing job as GM, but that's just the one glaring hole in his tenure.
Right. Correct. Yeah. It's pretty odd. I mean, my perspective on this is, also looking at trade rumors and what's been going on, like what's been swirling around, is the Padres are like in on a bunch of other guys too. They're in on
they
like
are.
Max Scherzer and things like that. Because I think the one one thing they could use is another very good starting pitcher, as Nelson Lamet has been injured. Blake Snell has not been what they thought he would be,
and Yu Darvish has struggled lately.
Yeah, Yu Darvish in his last 4 starts, actually, 7.32 ERA in his last 4 starts. So he could use some help. That rotation could use some help, and I'm wondering if the Padres traded their number 5 prospect in the organization. I'm hoping from a Padres perspective that that wasn't a guy that a team with a good starting pitcher wanted, and then they don't do a deal because they don't have that particular guy. I'm not sure if that would be a thing, but you wouldn't want it to be like a waste of a resource.
One thing I will say, I do really like the return from the Pirates perspective. They got the main guy they got was a minor league prospect named Tucupita Marcano, I believe it is. He is 21 years old, is in AAA. Actually played a little bit for the Padres in the majors this year, but he struggled a little bit. But he looks very mature as a hitter for a 21-year-old on paper. He's slashing 272, 367, 411, 811, 444, 811. Excuse me. A 367 OBP when you're hitting pretty significantly less than 300 as a 21-year-old is very impressive. He actually has more walks than strikeouts, 27 walks, 25 strikeouts. That's a 21-year-old in AAA.
Yeah, that's good to see.
Yeah, so that's a very good piece. And he's also an infielder, so he can pretty much be taking Frazier's place when he's ready.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously this is going to improve the team, but I'm not sure it is going to end up being worth what they gave up, considering the personnel that the Padres already had. It's not like they had a huge hole. And even like, Hosmer at first base, he's been like an average hitter. I looked at his OPS plus, it's exactly 100.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
So, and I don't see them benching Hosmer completely. So I think he's going to be platooning at, in the outfield, maybe a little bit at second base. It's going to be weird to find spots for a guy like this. And I think they could have used resources like Marcano for a potentially bigger trade for, a pitcher, like someone like Max Scherzer. But we'll see how the week plays out in general. Who gets what for what. But it was the deal was a little weird to me. But
you mentioned something. You mentioned an interesting stat with platooning with Will Myers, though.
Right, yeah.
You go ahead and talk about that, because I think that's important.
Yeah, that was the one thing I found where maybe the Padres analytical team was thinking about getting Frazier was, Frazier, of course, not only plays second base, but he also has had some time in the outfield. And Will Myers is one of the Padres outfielders. And Myers has a reverse split against lefties. His OPS against lefties is not good. It's It was 670 as of the end of Saturday, and Frazier's OPS against lefties as of the end of Saturday was 882, which is about a 200 point difference. And Frazier as a left-handed batter does better against lefties, and Myers as a right-handed batter does significantly worse against lefties. So it's an odd reverse split. That was the only like analytical thing I could have really
It's interesting
seen.
though.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Hmm.
It is interesting, but that's really the only thing I could have seen for what the Padres might do with their lineup, at least against lefties. Against righties, we'll
Hmm.
see. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
But anything more on this deal?
That's kind of all I got.
Yeah, it struck me as a bit odd, but Padres seem to be running a successful club, so I'm particularly interested to see what lineups they put out there.
I am too.
I'm looking forward to those lineup drops, 2 hours before the game, see what happens. All right. Well, I guess that does it for the news, and we will be getting into the reason this is being released on Tuesday and not Monday, because shout out to Kyle. He's the nicest guy you'll meet. He unfortunately had something pop up right when we were going to do Kyle's questions at 10:15 a.m. He had he Hollywooded us. He had bigger and better things to do.
He did. Nah, he legitimately did.
Yeah, he had like I have to go back to the text, but he was he's doing an interview series at the Basketball Hall of Fame. Above replacement radio, Basketball Hall of Fame. I don't know.
Well, we're not paying him, so
we're yeah, that's the only reason.
that's
we're
it. Yeah.
we obviously have a much bigger importance in the sports world, but we don't have the money for him. He's just a guest. But yeah, he's doing work at the Basketball Hall of Fame. If you've
We'll
ever
have him plug that at the end of the segment.
Yeah, we'll let him plug that. But we're as of this recording, we have not recorded it, but we will be getting right into Kyle's questions. So enjoy Kyle's questions. I don't know what we're going to be talking about. And here we are with Kyle Belanger for the third edition of Kyle's questions. How have you been, Kyle?
Good, man. Good. Is that my first question? How am I? I'm doing well, man. I mean, like, it's post All-Star break. You got that little post All-Star break hangover. But the action sure hasn't stopped. I mean, like, I'm going to talk a little bit today about what I can expect. I'm asking you guys. You guys are my Sherpas up the mountain here. My first baseball season in 10 years. And I got a lot of questions as we head here down the, not the home stretch yet, because we're not quite there yet, but we certainly are going on the back turn. That's for sure.
Well, it's a big week in baseball this week. July 30th, not 31st, is the trade deadline.
Yep.
A lot of action already. Adam Frazier going to the Pirates. Clay
Padres.
Holmes, Padres, excuse me. Clay Holmes going to the Yankees. That happened in between recordings today. Pretty good move for the Yankees, in my opinion. But what are your questions? What are you expecting?
So my questions are actually, it's funny. So here we are, and everyone knows, I'm sure you guys blew me up a little bit for my allegiance to the game of basketball. So this is NBA draft week as well. And so my first question involves the MLB draft, which we of course saw a week and a half ago. And so, here we are, and we're ready to sort of make that final push towards the end of the 2021 season, which thus far for me has been tremendously enjoyable. There have been, no COVID pauses that have ruined any viewing for me, and which is sort of a miracle in and of itself. But I keep thinking about, for me, I go back, and I've said this many times on this podcast. I keep thinking about like that Jackie Bradley Jr., David Price sort of draft era, when we knew there were some guys coming out of the college ranks who had the potential to not make an impact right away, even though David Price was fast-tracked when he did, right? But I keep thinking about guys, specifically guys who came out of the college game. Obviously, Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker are the two that come to mind. But of course, like the Henry Davises of the world. And so I'm wondering if you could give me your expected timeline for some of these high impact. I don't want to say can't miss because those are really difficult words to put on anyone.
For MLB Draft, it's tough.
It is, but we know guys like Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter are going to be here for more than a cup. This is not, they were not, you don't draft someone. I think wasn't the Henry Davis slot like a $6.5 million signing bonus, right? Jack Leiter, the pick value's like $7.8 million. Those guys, the days of like the Vernon Wells bonus babies going to like the New York Penn League are 20 years in the past, right?
The New York Penn League is very much not a thing.
That's right, exactly.
I currently work for a team that used to be in that league.
As a Pittsfield Mets fan myself, I love me some New York Penn League.
Yeah.
What kind of timeline in this era? Because this is brand new to me, this era, and I'm loving it. But I'm also not sure when I can expect Kumar and Leiter and Henry Davis, guys like that, to show up and stick.
Well, out of the three guys you mentioned and just all college players in general, I'd say the guy that has the best chance of coming up first is Jack Leiter.
Texas, am I right? Texas
Rangers. That's right. He was the number 2 overall pick. There's already been rumors that he could be in the game by late next season. I could see him starting out in Double-A or something like that, working his way up, and then I'd say maybe getting called up to Triple-A like in May of 2022, and then coming up in September of 2022. Kumar Rocker has already had some injury problems, I believe. I think there was something that went on pretty recently, so I think that's probably going to hinder him just because the Mets want to have him at full strength. And also the Mets have a good, plethora of starting pitching for the next couple of years anyway, so it's not like they're in urgent need for it. Jack Leiter, the Rangers kind of need a reason for people to show up, brand new stadium. They're about to trade their most valuable asset by far. They're gonna need someone to have, the metaphorical house that so and so built to name that stadium after. And I think Jack Leiter is gonna end up being the first. He's gonna be the guy that they make the push for him to be that guy first, so to speak. Henry Davis, I'd say, stays down just because the Pirates aren't necessarily going to be competitive anytime like in the immediate future. But I do think that they will get him in there before guys like Ke'Bryan Hayes and Brian Reynolds are before their 6-year contracts end, even if they don't, whether they extend them or not. But I think Jack Leiter would be that guy.
Yeah, I would.
Go ahead. I was gonna ask a follow up to you, Chris, about Henry Davis because of the catching position, right? I mean, he's drafted as a catcher. Does a guy like that, and obviously you're gonna take this the whatever way you want it, but like I know that you're really specifically like I love hearing you talk about sort of position specific stuff. Guys like catchers being drafted number 1 overall feels like like a throwback to Joe Mauer.
It happened 2 years ago.
Really?
Adley Rushman from the Orioles.
Oh, okay, that's right.
Generational catching prospect. I think he's the number 2 prospect in the whole league. That's one of the most anticipated prospects so far.
Okay. How about sorry, Chris, I totally bogarted.
I mean, to be honest, I think out of the in the baseball whatever analyst tools, if there were 5 tools, the draft and prospects is probably my weakest tool. So no need for me to go crazy in depth, but I mean, there was that number 1 pick 2 years ago, but the Pirates probably had better options on the table had they been more financially flexible. So, they probably didn't even take the guy who they believed was the best. They just picked the guy that they believed had the most value in terms of dollar for dollar on their name. So, and the Pirates, I don't think they're going to be competitive in the next couple of years. So I don't see them rushing a guy like Davis, especially as a team who is cheap and might want to manipulate service time as well. So that's kind of an ugly truth there.
Can we just pray that rule won't be in by next year?
Yeah.
And
Is
we won't
there a
have to
new
worry about that?
is there a new
CBA year?
new collective? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's important for me to know.
It's going to be a very, very, very important offseason for baseball.
Well, I mean, we talk about the
ugly.
off season for baseball. I want to talk about a guy who's going to have a lot of work ahead of him in the off season because I was so disappointed and saddened by the Ronald Acuna Jr. injury. And so I want to stay in the National League and ask you a little bit about how concerned I should be. Now, I know that that's not a catastrophic injury. I know guys come back from this injury. But I also know that Ronald Acuna Jr. is going to talk about a guy who a stadium is built. It was built, the house that someone so-and-so built. Acuna could be that dude in a city that is thirsty for that dude, right? Freddie Freeman's not that guy. Great piece, good professional. I like Sean Casey too. But so I'm wondering how worried should I be about Ronald Acuna Jr.'s future?
I wouldn't be too worried about it. He's had freak injuries before. This was kind of just another one of those. You just have to hope that it doesn't turn into what it's turned into with Mike Soroka. He had his teammate. He also tore his ACL, I believe, on a freak play in 2020, and that's kind of just he's had a downward spiral since then. I think he like re-injured himself, like going downstairs or something like that. He's out for the rest of this year, but I think Acuna is going to be fine. He's only, what is he, like 23 years old, I think.
23. Yep.
Yeah, he's still super young.
Yep.
He's a guy that will, I don't want to take anything away from Mike Soroka. He has had this downfall, but I trust that the same thing won't happen with Acuna, because what happened with Soroka is kind of just, random bad thing after random bad thing. Like it's not necessarily a planned sort of deal. It's not like a gradual process where it's like, yeah, this was bound to happen when you saw it. Like it was kind of just freak accident after freak accident.
Or a re-aggravation, right? Those are the kind of injuries that we worry about, right? Guy comes back too soon and then aggravates, and then it becomes, I mean, that's the albatross around his neck forever, right? That's not what this is. So okay, that makes sense.
I'd say the biggest worry, and I talked about this when the injury happened, is this could symbolize the end of the Braves championship window, because Acuna is not back for this year. They're already not in a great place in the standings. I think they're 3 games back of the Mets, which realistically they could get it done, but they've just had a lot of underperformances all year. Marcell Ozuna, obviously, he's not going to be coming back, and that's for unrelated issues. Freddie Freeman's in a walk year. So there are a lot of question marks surrounding what the Braves are going to look like next year. And, if Acuna is going to be producing alone, he can only do so much as a baseball player. He can only bat 1 out of every 9 times. So there are question marks there, but I'd say individually, not as much to worry about.
Could we maybe hope that the CBA allows him to bat more than once every 9 times? No, is that not on the table? No.
Yeah,
I don't think so. I think they're more worried about a universal DH.
Yeah, for sure.
Or no more service time manipulation, or several other things.
To increase to increase fan attention, there are going to be 6 batters in the lineup. They will be all DH'd for, and we will have 7-inning games with 3-ball, 2-strike counts. It's going to be great. It's going to be wonderful.
Pitch clock reduced to 7 seconds. Let's go. Let's go.
I'm going to be honest. I am for the pitch clock.
Are you?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So I went to a minor league game very beginning of the season in Hartford, and they had like a 20-second pitch clock or something like that. And the pitcher for the Yard Goats was getting the pitch in by 5 seconds, which you don't have to be that fast. But I mean, like if you just watch some of these games and you time how much time there is between pitches, it can get up to a minute sometimes when there's nothing happening. Like there's no timeouts called. It's not a foul ball where they got to get the ball back in. It's just throw a pitch, comes back to the pitcher, walks around the mound for a minute, timeout called, throws the ball. Like, I think very much for the pitch clock.
Average game time is about to increase as soon as Chris Sale gets back to the bigs. I mean, we all know that the average time is going to go up by 6 minutes. Mm-hmm. I think so. Here's where I'm for it. And again, I'm stepping all over you, Chris. I'm a horrible guest. Is when we get a generation of minor leaguers to the bigs who have just pitched with it. So we no longer have to monitor it, right? It's like the self-monitoring. It's like, whatever, like
anyone.
Yes, like petty theft at the corner store is down because we've hung those fake cameras for so long, people are afraid of getting caught stealing Swedish fish, right? Like we get a whole, wait, is that just me? No. They're delicious. People are they're just going to pitch quicker because that's been the case since they were professionals. I think there's definitely something to be said there.
100%. I am very much for the pitch clock. I am very much for universal DH coming next year. No more 7-inning doubleheaders. No more extra inning rule. Probably the most important thing coming up in the CBA is the reform of minor league treatment. Like that has to be addressed.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure you saw ESPN had an article this week where a couple of Angels minor leaguers spoke out on the record and talked about how they've been mistreated and how it's been particularly bad in the Angels organization. And, you know, it might be particularly bad in the Angels organization, but it's some degree of bad everywhere. And like that, they need to put the kibosh on that because, I mean, we're talking about an organization that makes billions upon billions upon billions of dollars of revenue every single year. And they're paying, you know, these minor leaguers $1,600 a month, which is just not livable.
I mean, it really is a reflection of the system as it is, though, right? I mean, like it's the same system that allows, you know, the 16-year-old Dominican, you know, I'm not going to name a franchise, but insert your franchise here, academy players to be paid next to nothing when the bonus babies are 2 lockers down from them in single A, driving their new Mercedes in, right? I mean, it's that same system. And part of, I think, the problem with baseball, and baseball will outlast all of us. Part of the problem of baseball is that all of it has just been, it's fallen into the trap of why do we do it like that? Because we've always done it like that. And,
yes. Oh my God. Yes. Yeah. And there's that. It attains to so many aspects of the game too. Like I've referenced this a lot on the show, but Chris and I are big into the advanced analytics. You know, that's what we sort of try to drive our podcast off of. And we have these talks of like, why do we still look at batting average? Because we have for the last 120 years.
Yeah, totally.
Why do we still look at errors in the box score, even though there's like 1 per game and they're not really that important most of the time? Well, because we've been doing it for 120 years and we've just never thought about putting a stop to it.
Exactly. All right, so let's stay in the NL East here for a second, because I have someone I want to talk about, someone I want to ask about, someone who I believe has the exact same amount of service time with Ronald Acuna Jr., but I'm not sure how to handle him in my headspace, and I got lots of headspace. No, I love Juan Soto. It's Pete Alonso, who I think is 20. Okay, but 4 years older. 26 years old, right? I mean, he's, I think, a Florida Gator, right? Won an SEC title.
Correct.
And seems to be the, again, I'm a basketball guy, the perennial dunk champion in Major League Baseball. And what do I do with Pete Alonso in my head? I watch him 40 times a year on TV. And I don't get excited about him. And then I watch him one night in July and I'm like, this is why I love the guy. So here's my question. Who the hell is Pete Alonso? 2, why do I care? And 3, is this a good example of why I should stop watching the home run derby?
I'll defer this one to Chris because I've kind of been taking over.
I mean, it's interesting. I think there's a difference between, you know, being good at hitting home runs in the show and like being a batting practice hitter. Not, you know, Pete Alonso is a great hitter, you know, in actual live games, but he's figured out a way. Also, it was a funny thing where like on the StatCast broadcast of the home run derby.
I knew you guys would be watching that. I was thinking about you the whole time.
Are you kidding me?
I was watching with my boys and I'm like, hey, my boy's 9 and 11. I'm trying to get him into baseball. And I'm like, guys, come on, this is exciting. Come on, watch. And the whole time I was like, I should turn to StatCast. I know Chris and Daniel are watching StatCast.
We absolutely were.
So go ahead, man. Sorry, Chris.
On the StatCast broadcast, they had, and maybe they had it on the regular broadcast too, but they had the locations of the fellow of the pitchers of the home run derby, and I forget the guy who was pitching
Dave
to Alonso's.
Joust.
Dave Joust
Yep.
was, I mean, nailing the spots.
Pinpoint
Doing.
accuracy.
I mean, he had Maddox precision on Pete Alonso, and it was something to behold. But yeah, Pete Alonso, like, he's someone who is always at the top of the, exit velocity leaderboards, the barrel, barrel per whatever batted ball event leaderboards. He hits the ball a lot. I'm trying, maybe I should take a look at his strikeout rate. I imagine
Not great.
I believe I also want to give Dave Joust a shout out. I believe he's also a Pittsfield Mets alumni.
Ooh,
So I believe
that
so.
makes sense. I guess he's a coach with the team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it would make sense. Baseball Savant is being a little slow. Sometimes you type in the name and then it shows up about a minute later. Yeah.
Or it just shows up like 5 rows down. It's like there's somehow 5 other people named Pete Alonso, and the actual one is like at the very bottom. It's like, well, do you think people are here for this other guy named Pete Alonso who played 3 games for the Brewers in 2014?
Not even the Brewers, the Montgomery Biscuits, right? Like he made it all the way to Montgomery.
Yeah.
I want to see the Pete Alonso that was on the 1948 St. Louis Browns affiliate that was
that somehow made it to Baseball Savant of all places.
Yeah, I want to see that. I mean, his strikeout percentage is actually like he's striking out. He's in the 61st percentile in strikeout percentage, that means he's striking out less, which is good. So yeah, I don't know what to say on him.
Is it okay that I like him? Is it okay? That's what I'm asking.
Absolutely.
Is it
okay? Let me tell you
Yeah.
something, Kyle. Pete Alonso came up as the #1 prospect in the Mets system. He in 2019, he actually set the rookie home run record. He hit 53 that season. He beat Aaron Judge, who hit 52 in 2017. You probably remember that because it got a lot of media attention.
Yeah.
Pete Alonso's just been a premier home run hitter.
Here's
his
what
entire time in the majors.
Here's what I don't want to do. I don't want to be that guy who's fresh into like the baseball party and suddenly like one of my favorite players is like the slam dunk champion. I'm like, I love Hamidou Diallo. Like the guy, he barely he won a dunk contest, Kyle.
Pete Alonso, Pete Alonso is a great player outside of the home run derby. He homered. Okay. I was at the Mets game yesterday and he hit a home run.
Lots of flexing right now, Daniel. Lots of flexing of where you been. I like it.
Listen, Chris was at a much better game than I was yesterday.
Where'd you go?
I was at the world's most beloved ballpark, Fenway Park.
We were both at different ballparks yesterday. Nice.
I almost caught a no-hitter. It was crazy.
And that he just wow, how that changed, right?
Yeah.
It became a very yes hitter, absolutely hitter.
Yeah. You've got an issue. When I was at Fenway a couple of weeks ago with my brother and my dad, and like it was a great game. It was like that. They played Kansas City. It was like that 15-4 win or something like that. It was like a Thursday 1 p.m. game.
Okay. Yeah,
I ran into Nick Perinick actually was there.
Chris and I were at a previous Red Sox Royals game at Fenway earlier in that series.
Oh, really? Awesome. Yeah, the last time I saw the Red Sox and the Royals live was at Fenway. Jimmy Gobble started for the Royals.
Wow.
And Pokey Reese hit an inside the park home run. So that's how long it had been.
Early 2000s?
My guess is, Pokey Reese, so it was 2004.
Yeah.
It was the only year that Calvin Reese was there. But yeah, like, so here's, okay, let me just move on here because I know I'm up against the clock a little bit. Which is not something that you say in podcasts. Sorry. Toronto's about to go back home.
Yeah, they are.
Toronto has been really fun. Am I oversimplifying the problem that people are saying oh God, that's a horrible hedge. I've seen it written that when the Blue Jays get home and are playing in front of 16,000 fans in their home ballpark for the first time in 2 years, they will automatically slide into a better situation. As someone who's watched a lot of baseball, who's been in the media for a long time, I'm not sure it's that easy. Should I be worried about the fact that I love the Blue Jays and I'm not so convinced that going back to their home ballpark in 2 years is just going to be a walk in the park?
So I wish you weren't up against the clock. I'll try to explain this as quickly as possible because there are a lot of moving parts to this point. When you look at the last time the Blue Jays were good back in 2015 and 16, after they acquired David Price and Troy Tulowitzki, the likes of those guys, their stadium was rocking. I mean, it was loud. Like it was borderline earthquake level in the Rogers Center. And with the the Raptors are not playing right now. The Leafs are not playing right now. All attention is going to be on the Blue Jays, who are a much different team now than they were last time they were in Toronto at the end of 2019. I think I looked at the box score from the last time they were at the Rogers Center, and there's like 4 guys in the starting lineup that are still on the team today.
Mhm.
They've obviously gone through a lot of changes. So with that comes one thing that I've been particularly interested in since they started playing at these supplemental ballparks is that they've had a really weird offensive surge, particularly at those home parks that no one else seems to have. Like I wrote a whole article about this that I'll link to you afterwards, but they had like a record-breaking OPS on fly balls at Stalin Field last year, but then they were like perfectly average or like slightly above average elsewhere. And I think all their home statistics, when you look at like, all the offensive statistics were like top tier in the majors, but then on the road, it was like middle of the pack to below average.
Interesting.
So they're not going to be playing in those ballparks anymore. And I'm definitely going to be interested in seeing what those home road splits look like. But I know that they are going away from a statistically favorable home ballpark for them when they go back to the Rogers Center.
That's interesting.
And I think it really depends with the Blue Jays on their success at home at how many people are going to be allowed to watch those games. Obviously, Canada is in a different situation than we are here down in the States. But I mean, I think that's the big difference. I think it'll be nice for the Blue Jays to have like a major league home. I bet they were very compromised in a spring training clubhouse and a minor league clubhouse. So they will feel like they're, in a big league home, and they'll be a little more comfortable, but I don't see it shifting their season too much this year. Next year, I think it could make a little bit of more of an impact.
I'm not even convinced that like we've seen gosh, Canada was so good closing its borders, and I mean good in a very relative way, right? And like here we are on another upswing, right? I mean, who's to say that team isn't just trapped in Canada? This could be, with another surge happening in the States, this could be the wrinkle that I was gloating we haven't seen yet. I will also say, as a baseball park file myself, one of the most understated, underrated best seats in all of baseball is third baseline at the Rogers Center with the roof open.
I've been there with the roof closed. Okay.
Roof open. It looks like the CN Tower is going to fall on you when you sit.
Yeah.
Yep.
It is very cool how close that place is to the ballpark.
Absolutely marvelous stadium.
Rogers Center is in the Toronto skyline. It's just right there. It's next to the CN Tower, which is the highlight of it.
Doesn't get enough credit as a great ballpark. It really doesn't.
It doesn't. No, it doesn't look that good on TV, but when you go in real life, it's like, oh, this is actually way cooler than I thought.
Marvelous.
Fun fact: I've hung off the CN Tower.
Oh, you did that?
Yep, I did that.
Well, they let you do that. They strap you to these harness. You go to the top of the
Daniel. This is Chris's story.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, they've. It's a it's legal. I didn't do one of those. Like, it's not like those
Ocean's 14.
Yeah. It's not like those POV videos of like Russians who climb up onto tall buildings and then they get asked to come down by the police. It's not it wasn't one of those things. You pay money. You're in this giant orange suit. I should send a picture when we're done with this. But you're in this orange suit, like almost like prison garb, and you have these you're pretty strapped up as you go onto the top of the tower.
You lost me at top of the tower. That is too much.
The straps are able to hold like I think 750 pounds or something like that. So it was fun. I was like, this is something I kind of want to do, and I did it, and my dad allowed me to do it. That was in 2018. So, but coming up on 3 years ago. So yeah, it was a good time. They had you do you look over this way, then you kind of lean over, then you lean backwards. It was an interesting experience. I'll send a picture.
You're right at the edge.
Daniel, if I gave you $25, would you do it?
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, really? I thought I was gonna have to increase the bid.
No, I would do it for free.
Would you really?
Yeah.
Man,
I
Chris.
mean, you have to pay to do it.
Yeah, you have to pay
Like,
That's
couple
that's
$100.
that's the stupid part for me. It's like, I'm gonna pay you to flatten my tires too. Like, no, thank you.
Well, look,
Like,
luckily
pay
I
me
was
to- pay me to
17. I wasn't
vomit.
expected to pay for this
if I
venture.
ever go back to Toronto, I definitely do want to do that.
Pay me to vomit on the tourists below. Like, no, thank you. I have no interest in that. It's a great city. It's a great city, and this is a great podcast. I'm really thankful that you guys invite me back. And again, I
Absolutely.
want to apologize for making you wait today. That is, it's very un-me like to do.
No issues.
So Chris, any of Daniel's stories you want to try to tell, and I can cut you off? Guys,
so
sorry, go
so
ahead.
he was at the Hall of Fame with me. And we were doing a virtual tour. That's an inside joke for the viewers. That was
No.
before
We
recording.
told it on. We told
Or,
it
oh
on the
yeah,
show.
yeah, we did tell it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just stories about me.
Hey, are we going to take a road trip to Iowa? Not in a couple weeks. Shouldn't the three of us go?
Ooh. Yeah. All right. Let's do it.
It's only like 1,500 miles. Someone figure that out. How far are we? How far is Iowa from here?
I will go on Waze right now.
I think it's 1,500.
If I just type in Field of Dreams, will it show up?
I don't know what the
Should.
capacity is there.
It's like 9,000, I think.
Yeah.
I think that so Rogers Center is going to have 16.
Oh,
and I
no.
think it's
You
9.
said 1,500. Not even close. 871 miles.
Guys,
Come on. If
We
we
can-
okay, it is 8:37. If we left right now,
you can be there at 6 in the morning.
12:06 p.m.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
That's not what I
Yeah.
said. That's not
That's what I heard. Yeah,
So,
12:06 p.m. It'd be a 15 and a half hour drive.
All right,
Yeah, we'd get there by the time the game starts.
let's go. My kids won't even notice I'm gone.
You
By
only
which
went
I
to
mean,
Iowa.
I was 2 doors down for like 20 minutes today. They rode their scooters by 5 times just to make sure I wasn't trying to get away from them. This is where we are in our COVID journey right now. My children will not let me 2 doors down. They're like, "Where are you going now? Where are you going now?"
Are you going to the grocery store?
Yeah,
Are
how
you
about
gonna get
now?
Food for us?
How about now? How
How
about
we
now?
starve?
How about we? Yeah, don't leave us. Just don't leave us. Guys, thank you for having me. I got to bounce. I appreciate
All
you
right,
so
see you,
much.
Kyle.
Thank you for coming
guys.
on.
Always, guys. Always. I'll always come on. Thank you.
See ya. And that was Kyle's questions. I imagine it was a good conversation, or it could have been awful. Maybe we didn't even put it in. Maybe he was just too tired from all that Hall of Fame and he was doing in Springfield. But I imagine like the other 2 times it was great. And he always I think he brings the best out of us, I would say.
Absolutely.
Which is always good. That's why we like to have him on. But now we get into the part that we have most prepared for, which is, players to highlight, good and bad reasons. We'll start off with players to highlight for good reasons with our, I guess this is Tuesday, July 27th, 2021 edition of.
How about that?
And by the way, since this is being recorded a little early, all these stats are as of the end of July 25th and
Yes.
before the July 26th game started. Just a little disclaimer, as we said previously. But Daniel, what's player or subject do you have to talk about today?
Yeah, I got a subject today. Not just doing one player. I'm just gonna really quick check if this team is playing a game today, so I can see. No, they are playing today. Okay, so in 2020, this team had the lowest bullpen FWAR in baseball, and this year the Mariners have turned their bullpen around. They've done a complete 180. They have the second highest FWAR in the majors, 4.8 wins from their bullpen. They also have the second best FIP with a 3.55. The Mariners bullpen has made a complete turnaround, and there are 5 key relievers who have made it happen this year. The first, in no particular order, is Drew Steckenrider. He has pitched 39 innings this year to the tune of a 2.08 ERA and a 2.80 FIP. And he's a pretty unique attack towards hitters, where 24.2% of the pitches that he throws are in the zone, slightly above or outside of the strike zone. It's not usually a place where people will go, but it's where he likes to go. and that 24.2% of pitches being thrown in that area, otherwise known as game day zone 11 if you are on Baseball Savant, is the second highest rate among the 363 pitchers that have thrown at least 500 pitches all season. The next I'm talking about is Paul Sewald. So this is a guy who was DFA'd by the Mets in 2019. And Chris, this year, he has 30 and a third innings pitched, and it has 53 strikeouts. 53 strikeouts in 30 and a third innings pitched. He has a 2.37 ERA and a 1.70 FIP, and he has the highest Ks per nine among qualified relievers with a 15.73. That's right, the reliever leader in Ks per nine. It is not Aroldis Chapman. It is not Josh Hader. It is not Craig Kimbrell. It is Paul Sewald of the Mariners with 15.73. Next, we're talking about Kendall Graveman, who has 32 innings pitched this year with an 0.84 ERA. And his emergence this year has been largely due to his sinker, which is the primary pitch that he throws. And there have been 47 batted balls against his sinker this year. 0 of them, not a single one, has gone for an extra base hit. And among the 210 pitchers to have at least 25 plate appearances ending on their sinker, Graveman's 1.77 slugging percentage against is by far the best one in the majors. So he is one of the most effective sinkers in all of baseball as far as preventing extra base hits. Next, we have JT Chajwa, who has pitched 29 and 2/3 innings pitched. He has a 2.12 ERA and a 1.82 walks per nine. And his role has been pretty out there this year. He is particularly great in the 6th, 7th, and 8th innings. He's he's a setup man in a way. And there are 98 relievers in the American League to have faced 60 batters in the 7th, 8th, and 6th innings. I went out of order there. The 6th, 7th, and 8th innings. 98 relievers to have faced at least 60 batters in those 3 innings. And Chajwa is the only one to have a sub-1 ERA. He is at 0.93. And then lastly, we have Eric Swanson, who has pitched only 16 and a third innings pitched this year, but he has an 0.55 ERA. And if you're confused, if you're considering expected statistics, wondering what those look like, the leaderboard for expected WOBA among the 530 pitchers to throw at least 200 pitches this year goes as follows. Jacob deGrom leads it. Then it's Craig Kimbrell. Then it's Matt Barnes. Then it's Corbin Burns. Then it's Jimmy Nelson. Then it's Eric Swanson, number 6. 530 pitchers to throw at least 200 pitches. Eric Swanson has the 6th best expected WOBA, which also translates to expected ERA. I have never seen a unit on any specific team have this much of a turnaround between years, but the Mariners bullpen has done it. And we talked about them a couple of weeks ago, the team as a whole, and we weren't really considering why exactly they were looking as good as they were. We kind of talked about the offense, but this bullpen has been legitimately one of the best in baseball. And I'd also like to take this segment as an opportunity to walk back a take that I had in that segment. I said that maybe it's time to move on from Scott Servais. With the way that this bullpen has been going, I don't know if that's true because, I mean, yes, of course, the players are the ones having the success on the field, but you have to contribute a lot of that success to the manager, who obviously is doing a good job of managing them. But that is my very long Mariners bullpen segment.
Mariners bullpen.
How about that?
Yeah, amazing stuff there. Yeah, amazing turnaround. Mariners, by the way, just coming off a sweep against the A's.
That wasn't a sweep; it was a series win.
Oh, a series win. Was it 3 out of 4? Or 2 out of 3?
No, they did lose one. I know that.
They
won on Saturday and Sunday. Let me check Friday. Maybe they won on Friday, and they lost on Thursday. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it was a 4-gamer.
Yeah.
But they took 3 out of 4 from Oakland, and they're
1.5 games back of the playoffs.
They're facing Houston this week. This will be a huge test if they're able to find a way to win a series against Houston. Then that's a very legit team. And yeah, bullpen. Did not know about their bullpen, and gave us all the information. Gave us all the info on that pen. My how about that is actually also, this is just a guy, but he's also a Mariner because they're just doing so well. We got to talk about the Mariners. My guy is Mitch Haniger. In his last 13 games, he is hitting .347 with 7 home runs and a .1237 OPS. And since July 8th, he ranks 2nd in slugging, 5th in OPS, and 4th in FWAR. Also in this span, his hard hit rate is 55.6%, and his barrel rate is 19.4%.
Wow.
And lastly, in this span, he is tied for the 3rd most barrels hit in baseball. So Mitch Haniger leading the way on offense. He is getting a.
How about that?
So shout out to Mitch Haniger, who had a little hot streak probably in the May time frame, dropped off a little bit, and now he's coming right back. And yeah, leading the way on offense. Now we go from the highs to the lows, where we're talking players or subjects that have been underperforming. So now for our Tuesday, July 27th, 2021 edition of
Slightly alarming.
So who do you got on the docket this week?
I'm sticking in the AL West, looking on the opposite side of that Mariners Astros matchup this week. I'm looking at Carlos Correa because he's been miserable. Since July 4th, he is slashing 0.65. He's an 0.65 batting average, a 120 on base percentage, an 0.87 slugging, and a 207 OPS. All of those are last among the 171 qualified hitters since July 4th. He is the only qualifying hitter to have a weighted runs created plus below 0, and his mark is at -40. It's that bad. It's that below everyone else. His average launch angle during the slump is 20 degrees, and his average launch angle before that on the year was 13 degrees. So he's popping the ball up a lot more. He's hitting the ball higher than he likes to, and it's been showing in his results on the field. So Carlos Correa been struggling mightily lately.
Carlos Correa.
Slightly alarming.
Yeah, it's funny because my slightly alarming has been doing particularly bad also, and he's also in the AL West, so I thought for sure
We had the same
that
person.
we had the same slightly alarming again, but no, that is not the case. But yeah, Correa was one of the hottest hitters in baseball, but I guess he wasn't up for 4th of July. Just un-American.
Yeah.
Just really turned it down after that.
Not patriotic.
Yes, exactly. My slightly alarming is in the American League West. He plays for the Angels. His name is Jared Walsh. And also disclaimer, he's been getting a little unlucky. I looked at Savant. He's in his last 12 games, he's hitting 143. His expected batting average is around 230, but it is still a downgrade from where he previously was. In his last 12 games, he's hitting 143 with a 323 OPS. He has 13 strikeouts, 1 walk, and 1 extra base hit in this span. That's pretty bad in a 12-game span. Out of 170 qualifying hitters since July 9th, when this span started, he is 165th in walk rate, 160th in average, 170th dead last in on-base percentage, 167th in slugging, and 168th in OPS. So he's just overall been one of the worst offensive producers of the past couple weeks. And lastly, 41.7% of his batted balls have had a negative launch angle in this span. Nothing too crazy, but he is grounding the ball a little bit more often than he would like, I would imagine. So Jared Walsh.
Slightly alarming.
He was another guy who was an all-star
This is the all AL West edition of the show.
Yeah,
yeah. Mariners, Astros, Angels.
Yeah, so sorry to the Athletics and Rangers, but you didn't get any shout outs. But I mean, I guess luckily, if you were with the Mariners, you were getting slightly alarming. So
yeah,
I guess shout out to them. They avoided it. All right. So that does it for players to highlight. Now we get into a preview of the week ahead. I guess Monday's games have already happened. I'm going to get into series I'm gonna get into series and
There's some good matchups tonight too. Herman Marquez versus Shohei Ohtani. That's a good one.
and what I like, what matchup I'll like out of the Monday matchups is the don't throw it above 91 matchup
I see
between
it.
Wade
Wade
Miley and
Miley and
Kyle
Kyle
Hendricks.
Hendricks. Yep.
uh, that's a great matchup. The series to watch is, you got maybe the hottest team one of the hottest teams in baseball up there with like the Tigers right now, the Seattle Mariners going up against arguably the best team in the American League, the Houston Astros at T-Mobile Park. It's gonna be at least 3 games. Yeah, it seems to be 3 games, as the Wednesday game is a day game. So it's going to be a 3-game series. Mariners just won 3 in a row against the Athletics, won 3 out of 4 in general. Let's see what they can do against the top team in the American League West. That's going to be a fun one to watch and see. It's a huge test for the Mariners. It might make a difference in how they approach the trade deadline. So this is a big one. What do you got for the day-by-day matchups?
I'll look at Monday, even though it won't matter. Of course, you got the one I just mentioned, which was Marquez versus Ohtani. You also have Luis Garcia going for the Astros. You have the don't throw it above 91 miles an hour matchup you mentioned. You also have Marcus Stroman, and that's about it. On Tuesday, I would say we got Sandy Alcantara going. You have the Tyler Anderson Brett Anderson matchup in Brewers Pirates. Tyler Anderson might be traded, by the way. Very good innings eater for the Pittsburgh Pirates. You have Shane McClanahan going for the Rays. You have Taylor Widener going for the Diamondbacks, who's actually been all right despite the team being awful. You have what do you have? Dylan Cease going for the White Sox. You have Lance McCullers Jr. and his nice slider going for the Astros, and you got James Caprillion going for the A's. On Wednesday, you have Tanner Houck going for the Red Sox. He's been very interesting. You have Zach Plesac going for the Guardians. You have Willie Peralta going for the Tigers, who we're not going to talk about what they did in Kansas City. That was we really jinxed them there. You have Sean Manaea going for the A's. You have Zach Wheeler going for the Phillies. You have Max Fried going for the Braves. You have Lucas Giolito going for the White Sox. You have, I see a good matchup in there. You have Madison Bumgarner going for the Diamondbacks. Tyler Mahle, Zach Davies going for the Reds and Cubs. Matchup of the day, you got Walker Buehler versus Anthony Descalfani in Giants and Dodgers. Yeah. By the way, they always play each other. Wow. Feels like they've been playing each other all the time. You have Eduardo Rodriguez going for the Red Sox against the Blue Jays. You have Taijuan Walker going for the Mets against the Braves. This is on Thursday, by the way. Garrett Cole going against Luis Patino. That's a good one. Carlos Rodon going for the White Sox. Luis Castillo going for the Reds. David Price and Johnny Cueto going against each other in Giants-Dodgers. And that's all that's announced. That's good, really. So until then, we got the trade deadline coming up.
Yeah, exactly.
David Price. I believe this will be our last show before the trade deadline.
Yes, it will be.
All right.
And it kind of worked out that we're going to be releasing this episode on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Then the trade deadline, for those unaware, because I was not made aware until
Chris told me.
Until pretty recently, because I've like the MLB Network coverage is like July 30th, the trade deadline, and I'm like, what? It's July 30th this year, because apparently they didn't want all these trades to happen in the middle of the day on a Saturday, July 31st, and have to pull a bunch of players. So they made it July 30th. So yeah, it's going to be July 30th. So we're going to record an episode on July 31st on a Saturday. So we're going to release that over the weekend. If anyone...
We're going to have some guests on that one as well.
Yes.
2 straight shows with guests.
Yeah, we're turning it up with the guests lately. So that's going to be great. You may know them, not to spoil anything, but you may know a couple of them. You may know them from the all-time draft.
Mm-hmm.
So looking forward to that one. And yeah, we'll be releasing that probably on Saturday. So yeah, we hope you enjoyed this one. If you want to if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and want to watch the conversation as it happens, go to the YouTube channel and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It is called Above Replacement Radio. Also, if you want to follow us on social media, follow me on Twitter at Chris_Gianta. Follow Daniel on both Twitter and Instagram at Daniel_Curran. Also, our guest is at Kyle Belanger 1 on Twitter. I don't know Instagram and what have you, but we will probably ask him on our segment, which is still being recorded later, even though it happened in the past. We hope you enjoyed this one, and we hope to see you on Saturday, where we were talking
Trade deadline.
about the end of trades. All of it is over at that point.
There will be no more trades.
Yes, no more trades. See you then.